matters. If the surface of the Torah is Masach Mikdash, the nicest Tzufin, it's like a garden of flowers, the most beautiful flowers. And this is the pshat of the Torah. For those who are privileged, and that's for those who have already reached a high madrega in Torah, and they have learned already Shas and Poskim, they can start digging in that garden and find that underneath there are gems. You can dig up diamonds in that garden. There's more to that garden than the surface. If you dig a little, you're going to find gold. If you dig still deeper, you'll find diamonds. If you dig still deeper, you'll find more precious diamonds. This is the Torah. The Torah on its very surface is Kodesh Kedoshim and is Nesukim Edvash V'Neifes Tzufim. But for those who are fit for it, for those who are worthy, there is something special, the pneumius of the Torah. It's not for everybody. The Ariyah Kodesh exposed the hidden layers of the Torah. One of the amudim, one of the pillars of Torah Ha'ari is the inyan of Sayyid HaGilgal. That is that the Rabbeinu Shalom, his intention is that every neshama should come to its perfection. Every neshama has to have a tikkun. Like the pasuk says, "Achashav nachshavos levilti yidach mimenu nidach." The Rabbeinu Shalom he contrives devices that no nidach, no one shall ever get lost. No Yiddish neshama, no neshama that has a shaykhis, that has anything to do with Kedusha, can get lost. If a neshama comes on in this world and is not successful in accomplishing what it's supposed to accomplish, he's sent down again and again until he reaches this perfection. And the Rabbeinu Shalom helps every Jewish neshama, every neshama that has its origin in the structure of Adam Rishon. The Rabbeinu Shalom helps and guides each neshama that Saif Kosef, ultimately, it has to come to its perfection. And the Chashav Machshavos, the Vilti Yidach Mimenu Nidach. The Rabbeinu Shalom contrives devices that no one shall ever be nidach, shall ever be pushed away, that no one should be rejected. And David the Melech says, Elokai nitliyasecha u'machshaveisecha eleinu. Your wonders and your machshavos are all intent upon us. The Rabbeinu Shalom, that is his goal, that everyone, through the flies, through the wonderful ways, through the machshavos of the Rabbeinu Shalom, brings everyone to his perfection. With the advent of the Chodesh of, we learn Parshas Pinchos. This year, the kriyas of this year was that in Parshas Pinchos, it was Shabbos Mevorchen of. We benched the Chodesh of. And in Parshas Pinchos, the Torah tells us the story of Pinchos, who killed Zimri ben Salu, who committed znus with Kazbi Bas Tzul, and because he was a Atachas HaShakine Elei Kav, Vayechaper al Bnei Yisrael. The Gemara, the Midrashim tell us that this Zimri ben Salu had 3 names. According to the Gemara, he had 5 names. According to the Medrash Tanchuma, he had 3 names. We'll use the Medrash Tanchuma because it's more simpler to deal with. He had 3 names. The first time that we meet Zimri ben Salu was when Yankov and his family went down to Mitzrayim, and the Torah enumerates all the 70 nefashos, 70 people who went down with Yankov Avinu to Mitzrayim, and according to the Mishpaches. And the Shemaim, among the sons of Shemaim, Shaul ben Haknaanis. Shaul, the son of the Knaanis. And the Gemara Darshans. This Shaul, he is Zimri ben Salu. Why is he called Shaul? Shehishil es atzmai la'avayra. He has lent himself to do an avayra. He lent himself. He gave himself out for the service of an avayra. Ben Haknaanis. He is the son of Dinah, who was violated by Shechem. She was violated by Shechem. It seems that since we're going to meet this Shaul ben Haknaanis in the later Sedra, in the Parsha of Balak and Pinchos, and there we find that Zimri ben Salu did an Aveira with Kazbi Batzur. Zimri ben Salu was a Nasi of the Shevet Shemai. Where did this come to him? How was he ever able to fall to such depth? The answer is he had some impurity in himself. That impurity stems back to his great-grandmother, Dinah, the daughter of Yankov. The holy Dinah HaGedosha, the daughter of Yankov, Kedoshenu, Kedosh Yankov. She was violated by Shechem ben Kamayel, and apparently he injected some impurity into her. That impurity came down later into her child, Zimri. And the Torah calls him Shaul. He has lent himself to an Aveira. And the Torah says, why did he lend himself to an Aveira? The answer is Ben Haknaanis. He is a son of Dinah who was violated by a Knaani. He had an impurity in himself which he inherited from his mother. His essence, his etzem was pure. He is this one of the 70 nefashos that the Torah, they were oivdim l'keil echad. He's a wonderful heilige neshama, but there's some dirt on him. It has to be washed off. There's an impurity in him, and therefore he has lent himself to the Aveira. The next time that we meet Zimri, we find him in the Sedra in Nosai, in Bamidbar and in the Nosai, and in Bahaloischa. We find him in the splendor of Nissen, and there his name is Shlumiel ben Tzuri Shaddai. Shlumiel, the son of Tzuri Shaddai, the Nasi of the Shevet of Shimon. In his splendor, he is Shlomiel ben Tzuri Shaddai. In his fall, he is Zimri ben Salu. When he fell, He's not Shlomo ben Surishadai anymore. He has been stripped of this distinction of Shalom Shlomo. And the one who killed him took that distinction. Pinchos. The Shalom went over to Pinchos. The Shalom of the word Shlomo. And Tzuri Shaddai, also Pinchos took over. Because this name, Shin Daled and Yud, that is the name of the greatest attributes that a Yid has. Kedushas Abris, a tzaddik. Every mitzvah has its particular Shem HaKodesh, one of the Sheva Shemas. The Shem of Bris Mila is the Shem Shakai, Shin Dalet and Yud. When the Bani Shleilam gave the mitzvah of Bris Mila to Avraham Avinu, he told them, Ani Keil Shakai, T'alach Lefanei V'hayei Sonim. If you were ever present by a bris, you would notice that when they say the pasuk, B'damaya Chayi, the male will dip his finger into the wine of the Kaisha Bracha, and he will write on the child's tongue the shame, Shin Dalet and Yud. That's the shame of the bris. So Shlomo ben Tzuri Shaddai lost that shame, and Pinchos took it over. He became Eliyahu Hanavi, the Malach HaBris, who comes to every bris. It's the impurity of Shechem that caused this fall of Shlomo ben Tzuri Shaddai. The Ari HaKadosh reveals to us a wonderful revelation, something which is surprising. Hold your cheers. This Zimri ben Salu came down in a different Gilgal over 1,000 years later. You know who? Rabbi Akiva. Of all things, he's Rabbi Akiva. This Cosby Bas Tzur also came down again. She was the wife of Turnus Rupus, the tyrant, the Roman tyrant, who later was Megayer herself, and she became the wife of Rabbi Akiva. In other words, both these Neshamas came, and more yet, Cosby was really Dina. Dina came down as Cosby. Then she came down again as Turnus, as the wife of Turnus Rupus, the Gentile, who was Megayer herself, and became the wife of Rabbi Akiva. And therefore the Ari HaKadosh explains that since, because of the Aveda of Zimri ben Salu, 24,000 Jews lost their lives in the Megaifa. Vayiyu haMeisim b'Megaifa above the 24,000. So therefore, Rabbi Akiva also lost 24,000 Talmidim in the days of Sfira, and that's why we have the Avedas of Sfira. This is as far as what the Ari HaKadosh tells us. It tells us more details, but we won't go into them now. As I mentioned before, we read the Parsha of Pinchos when the Chodesh Av comes around, especially this year, when it was mamish the Shabbos of the Mevarchim Av. And the Torah in Hilchos Chodesh tells us that there are 12 Shvat, Reuben, Shimon, Levi, and so on, and there are 12 Chadashim, Nisan, Iyar, 7, and so on. These 12 Chadashim corresponds to the 12 Shvatim. Each Shevet has its Chodesh. Or if you will, each Chodesh has its Shevet. According to the Golem, to the Seder of the Golem, the way it's mentioned in Parshas Bamidbar and the Nosai and the Haloischa. That is, the first, and the way that we have them by the Chanukas HaMizbeach. Bayayim Arishain, the first day of the Nisan, it was the Hikviv, the Nachshon ben Aminadav, the Nasi of the Shevet Yehuda. In other words, Nisan is Yehuda. The second day, the second Chodesh, which is corresponding to the second day in Nisan, Av Yud Beis. The second day is Yisascha. Yisascha is Iyah. Then comes Zulan, which is then comes Zulan, which is 7, and Tammuz and Av is the Uvain and Shimon. So when we bench the Chodesh Av, and now we are experiencing the days and the Hanhagos and the halachas of the Chodesh Av, actually, what we are having now is the Chodesh of Shimon. Who was the Nasi of Shimon? Shlomiel ben Tzuri Shabbat, who was called Shol ben Aknanis, who was also called Zimri ben Salu. Each of these names denotes a certain period in the life of this Nasi, in his greatness and in his lowness. Bayayim HaChamishi, Nasi Livnei Reuven, Shlomiel ben Tzuri Shabbat, and that corresponds with the Chodesh HaChamishi, the fifth Chodesh, Nisan, Iyar, 7, Tammuz, and Av. We know that the Chodesh Av is a sorrowful Chodesh, it's a melancholy Chodesh, it's inconvenient Chodesh. We can't wash, we can't eat meat or drink wine. There's a lot of inconveniences. We're uncomfortable in this Chodesh. However, my purpose now is not to go into the availus of the Chodesh. I'd rather go into the greatness of the Chodesh. I don't want to talk about the Chodesh of Zimri ben Salu. I'd rather talk about the Chodesh of Shlomiel ben Tzuri Shabbat. Because the Navi Zechariah promises us that a time will come, when Mashiach will come, that this Chodesh Av will be the top of all the Chadashim. And it'll be a partner with Nisan, and even more yet. The Mashiach says even more yet. And so did the Sfarim say. The 3 weeks will be the most joyous part of the year when Mashiach will come. Tisha B'Av is like Shmini Atzeres. That's what the Mashiach says in the Yad Sfarim, that the 21 days between Shivas of the Tammuz and Tisha B'Av are corresponding to the 21 days between Rosh Hashanah and Simchas Torah, Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah. And the Tisha B'Av is Simchas Torah, the most joyous day in the year. That's what it's going to be. And the Navi Zechariah says, Tzayma Vaziyi, Tzayma Chamishi, Yiyu lebeis Yehuda lesasain ulesimcha ulemayadim toivim. There'll be very great mayadim, very joyous events. This time of Zimri, which means Shiva B'Tammuz, and this time of Hamishi, which means Tisha B'Av. Zimri ben Salu was the Nasi of the Chodesh Av. Being the Nasi, he represents whatever Av represents. He is the generator of what the Chodesh Av is. He is, in fact, if you want, the Prophet tells it here, the Freirish. The Shem Ish Yisrael HaMurke, Zimri ben Salu, Nasi base of. He is the Nasi of those of Av, the family of Av, the Shevet Shemai, La Shemaini. His history corresponds with the Chodesh Av. Zimri ben Salu was a great man. The second Nasi, Zimri ben Salu, was the Nasi of the Shevet of Shimon, the second Shevet after Reuven. And he was a great man. He was, the Torah says Eidos on him, Shivin Nefesh, She'avdu L'Keil Echad. The Torah says Eidos that he was a person with perfect emunah, She'avad L'Keil Echad. His life was dedicated only to the Rabbeinu Shalom. He was zeicher to be among by the bedside of Yankov Avinu when Yankov Avinu gave the brachas to his whole family, Shol ben Aknanis. He was appointed to be the Nasi of Shemaim by the Rabbeinu Shalom alone, Al Pi Adibel. And this Zimri ben Salu, every year we celebrate his greatness. We don't say Tachanun the first 12 days of Nisan, because those were the days that the Nesiim brought their korban. And on the 5th day of the Nisan, we don't say Tachanun, because by Yom HaChamishi, Hikkiv, Shalomil ben Tzuri Shazai, Lamate Shemai. It's his Yantiv. Zimri ben Salu is great. He represents and corresponds with the history of Av, with the story of Av. Av, as the name implies, is a father. There's another Chodesh like that. Aviv, Nisan, Av Yud Beis, the father of the 12 Kedoshim. Shimon always goes together with Nisan. It's the first day of Nisan that is the first day of Nisan that decides when Tisha B'Av. The first day of Pesach that decides when Tisha B'Av will be. Since last Pesach, if you remember, Shabbos was out of Pesach, and the first day of Pesach, when we sat down to the Seder, was on a Sunday. So therefore, Tisha B'Av will be on a Sunday. He has a shaychus with Shimon. The bracha of Shimon is together with Yehuda, with Nisan. Like Rashi says, Yehuda Amar, Shema Hashem Kol Yehuda. Shema is Maramis to Shemai. He goes together with Yehuda. He's Nasi Beis Av. Zimri ben Salu, and I am going to tell you some gematriyos today. You know what gematriyos are, huh? The numerical value of words. My purpose is, and I am a father to Hashem, I should accomplish this purpose. I want to show you nifla'is in the Torah. A time will come when Zimri ben Salu will again become Shlomeo ben Turishadai. When he'll come to his tikkun, to his slaveness. Zimri ben Salu, Nasi base of, is the gematria Rani the Simchi Bastian. That Chaydish will be a Chaydish of Rani the Simchi. Az will be a Chaydish of Rina and Simcha. In Tisha B'Av is the Leida of Mashiach. The Medrash tells us that in Eicha. Tisha B'Av is the birth of Mashiach. Exactly what that means, I won't go into it now. Whether it actually means literally that every year somebody who's born who could be Mashiach, or whatever other pshat we can say in it. But this is what the Medrash tells us. On Tisha B'Av, Mashiach is born. It's the Chaydish HaChamishi. And if we want to play around with the Isaiahs and rearrange the Isaiahs, Chaydish HaChamishi are the Isaiahs Chaydish HaMashiach. HaChamishi are the Isaiahs HaMashiach. It's the Chaydish of Mashiach. It will become the Chaydish that Mashiach will appear to us in all his splendor. He will strip his begadim of Zimri ben Salu and put on the beautiful cloak of Shlomeo ben Turishadai. He is a Neshama Kedosha. And he became the Gilgal, like the HaKadosh says, into Rabbi Akiva, the greatest of all the Tanaim. And there is a piece of Gemara at the end of Masech Malkis which requires a lot of explanation. And I am just going to take a few points and try to explain it in the limited time which is yet available. The Gemara tells us this. Rabbi Akiva and his Chazayrim went on the Har HaTzeichen, and they saw the Harabayas, and they ripped their clothing, kriya. They came to the Harabayas, and they saw a shual, a fox, coming out of the Kodesh HaKadosh. The Tanaim started crying. They wept. Rabbi Akiva laughed and was happy. So they told him, Rabbi Akiva, why are you laughing? Why are you so happy? Rabbi Akiva says, why are you weeping? So they told him, in the Heilige Kodesh HaKadosh, the place where it says, V'yazah HaKadosh Yumas, anyone who isn't a Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, who goes into their Chayv Misa, a shul, the lowly fox goes in. There isn't any lower animal than the shul. In the Chazal, you always find them in contrast with the Ari, to the lion. The lion and the fox. No, the great lion, the small, and the small fox. So he said, since the pasuk tells us in Eicha, al zeh davar libeinu, al hatziyan sheshamein shu'alim hilchu bayim. The shu'alim foxes are in the Harabayim, where the Kodesh HaKadosh is. So that's why we weep. So Rabbi Akiva says that's why I'm happy. If that pasuk became the Kuyim, then we're waiting ready for the other pasuk, the Mechamis of Yerushalayim. So the Mefarshim explained the Medrash that when the Chachamim saw that a fox had the Reshus min HaShemayim to go into the Beis Kachi HaKadoshim, that means that the Kodesh HaKadoshim lost its Kedusha. The Kedusha isn't there anymore, and therefore a fox can come into there. That's an explanation which the Mefarshim and the Gemara say. However, according to the Rambam, there's a machlekes between the Raivad and the Rambam. It's the Harabayas and Yerushalayim still retain this Kedusha today. And the Rambam paskins that it does. Yerushalayim has the Kedusha and the Torah that it had b'shasa beis mikdash as Kayim. And the Harabayas more yet. And anybody who walks up on the Harabayas today who is Tami is Chayiv Kodesh. And Kodesh HaKadoshim, certainly. Well, so the Gemara says that when Rabbi Akiva said, if that pasuk was Mikuyim, Shuol and Hilchubay, then I'm expecting the psukim of Muhammad to be Mikuyim. So the Gemara finishes off this way. The Lashem Hazeh Amru Loi. They told him this Lashem, Akiva Nichamtanu, Akiva Nichamtanu. Akiva, you have consoled us. Akiva, you have consoled us. I don't remember ever such a Lashon in the Gemara. That the Gemara should say, the Lashon has the Amrulay. This is the quote. Why must the Gemara say, the Lashon has the Amrulay? The Gemara should have said, so he said, Akiva Nechamtanu. Why does the Gemara emphasize that the Lashon has the Amrulay? Everything has its marking. The Maral explains that in the beginning of the faith and Nesach Yisrael. Everything has its marking. And every person is mitzvah his neshama belongs in a certain marking. Therefore, chein marking al yashvera. Everybody likes his marking, likes his place. If you are situated in a certain place, it means that your neshama is corresponding to that place. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there. If you, my dear Talmidim of Eisha Torah, if you were Zeiche to be learning in Yerushalayim, here at Kodesh, you have a Shaykhus to Yerushalayim. Otherwise, you wouldn't be admitted into Yerushalayim. You wouldn't be here. Because nothing is the mikra, nothing happens by chance. If you see a dog running around in Yerushalayim near HaKodesh, that dog isn't a simple dog. Otherwise, he would run around in my hometown in New York. What is he doing in Yerushalayim? That dog is something special. If the Rabban Yisraelim admitted it into Yerushalayim near HaKodesh. Everything has its reason, why it's in a certain place, why it's in a certain time, and why it belongs to a certain person. Every person, every deed has a part in the B'riyah. The Rabban Yisraelim gave over the entire creation to Adam Arishan and his children. Today it means the B'nai Yisrael. Every one of us has a part of the B'riyah that belongs to us and that is affected by our doings, what we do. So, what happened was Rabbi Akiva saw a shu'al in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Rabbi Akiva was wondering, what business does this shu'al, this fox, have in the Kodesh HaKadoshim? With what did he merit to find himself in such a holy place? A shu'al, a fox in the Kodesh HaKadoshim? Rabbi Akiva was a person who knew things. The Gemara tells us now by the Zohar that Rabbi Akiva, by chance, the Gemara, of course, a tzaddik is very careful with his eyes, and when he senses from far that he has to be careful with his kedusha, so he will be careful. But he saw the wife of Tonas Surface, and the Gemara says, how come he saw her? Why wasn't he careful? Because she came around from around the corner, and he didn't expect her to come down. He saw the wife of Tonas Surface, but the Gemara about the Zohar of Chav. So that the Akiva spat, he laughed, and he cried. He spit it on the ground because she has such an impure origin. She was a guy at that time, the wife of Tony Swift. He laughed because he saw Baruch HaKodesh that she's going to be the guy of himself and become his wife. And he tried. She was a very beautiful person. And such a beautiful person, Suf, will be buried in the ground. There's a lot of kedusha in this piece of Gemara. A big lesson how to control somebody's Yetzer Hara. That when a Yetzer Hara comes, you think about what's the end of life. Anyway, Rabbi Akiva, when he saw the wife of Tony Swift, he laughed. The second time, because he saw the Baruch HaKodesh that that's going to be his wife. He knew it. Rabbi Akiva knew things that we don't know. The second time that we find that Rabbi Akiva laughed is in the Gemara in Malchus, which I mentioned before. He saw the shul and he laughed. I would say that these two laughters are related to each other. When he saw the wife of Tony Swift, he saw that this person is a part of his neshama. He laughed. She's going to be Megaya and come to her tikkun. She's going to become my wife. She'll become the Rebbetzin of Rabbi Akiva. That's something. Think about it, that who she was, the wife of the Roman tyrant Tony Swift. When he saw that shul, Rabbi Akiva laughed just like he laughed by the wife of Tony Swift. Rabbi Akiva saw something that we wouldn't have seen. He saw that shul has a shaykhus to him. It's part of his neshama. That shul, that fact, is related to him. It's an extension of his neshama. There's a part of his neshama which is now in that shul, which is waiting for its tikkun. And therefore it was admitted into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which means that the time of the tikkun is coming. And who was the shul? Ayin and the Aleph interchange in Lashon Kodesh. We find that very often. A shu'o, if you would change the ayin into an aleph, you have the word sho'o, sho'o ben aknanis. He saw himself in that shu'o. And he saw that the bad part of him, the part of Zimri ben Salu, already is starting to come to a tikkun. Because the character of a shu'o is zenus. The destruction of the purity of Klal Yisrael. Like the pasuk says, Erzu in Shirashirim, Erzu anu shu'olim k'tanim mechabelim k'ramim. The shu'o destroys the keren, the vineyard of the Rabbeinu Shalom. The purity of Jewish families that they don't mix with Goyim, that's called a keren. Keren is B'Gematria 10 times the Shem Havaya, the complete purity. Like when there is a pure marriage, the Gemara calls it Invei Agefen B'Yinvei Agefen, the marriage of grape to grape. And the Shua is the opposite, the Mechabel the Keren. And that is the Aveir of Zimri, that he admitted the Zera Kodesh into a Gentile, the Kazi Bastur. So when he saw the shul in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, it was admitted into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he saw a tikkun. He saw himself in that shul. In the Makom of the Kapara, in the Makom of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, where all the Aveirus are rectified, where the Kohen Gadol comes in on Yom Kippur, and there he effects the Kapara for all the Aveirus. And he saw the Zimri ben Shaul, the Zimri ben Salu in that shul. And if you want, shul is the Gematria Zimri ben Salu. He saw the Zimri ben Salu in that shul. The Shaul ben Aknan. And he told the Chachamim why he laughed. and they realized it. And they said, Akiva Nechamtanu. You have consoled us with the beginning of the tikkun already. And they added something to what Rabbi Akiva told him. He said that this shu'al is the gematria Zimri ben salu. So they said, Akiva Nechamtanu. Akiva Nechamtanu is the gematria Kazbi Batzul. The second half of the Zivrig, the partner of Rabbi Akiva, the second half of his neshama. In other words, the tikkun is coming to its shleimus. So the Lashon Hazeh Amrulai, the Gemara emphasizes it was these words that it tells them. Akiva Nechamtanu, which is the Gematria Kazbi Batzur, the wife of the Zimri ben Salu, the wife of Rabbi Akiva. And they said it twice. Akiva Nechamtanu, because when it's twice, it's the Gematria Nefleisecha u'Mashveisecha Eleinu, the topic which reveals to us the Soid HaGildel, that things come to its tikkun through the Gildel. Now, when Rabbi Akiva saw this shu'al, he knew that this shu'al is Shaul ben Aknan. But shu'al is ayin, and Shaul is with an aleph. But the aleph and the ayin interchange. That is always, when the ayin has its tikkun, it becomes an aleph. There's a passage in Tehillim speaking about Esav. That Yichasmena, Esav is the Chazir, the pig. Yichasmena Chazir me'yo'ar. And if you look in the Tehillim, which is Meduyak, you're going to find that the ayin of the word yo'ar is suspended. That's how it's written, and that's how it should be written. Ayin tluya, a hanging, suspended ayin. So Chazal tells us, and Rash brings it into Tehillim, that if Yidden are Zayche, the ayin will become an aleph. A Chazir me'ya'al is a ferocious beast, but a Chazir from the Ya'ayah with the aleph is a harmless beast. Esav will be rendered harmless when the Mashiach will come. It'll become Chazir me'ya'ayah, it'll become, but really, where do we find it? Where is the origin of this? In the very beginning of Bereshit. The Rebbeinu Shalom, after the Avera of the Eitz Hadas, the Yad Hashem Elokim, the Yadam Olechava, Kosmos Oyo Vayalbishem. The Eibishter made to Adam and Chava Kosmos Oyo, a cloak of skin. So the Medrash tells us when the Drasha Rabbi Meir Kosmos Oyo Ba'aleph. Not oil with the ayin, which means skin, but oil with the aleph, which means light. When the Mashiach will come, the Meir who sees the Geula doesn't see Kosmos oil. He sees, which means skin, the ayin, which means golus. He sees the aleph, oil. Vayem Elokim Yehi oil. So the Zayah says that's Mashiach ben David. That's Rabbi Meir who saw the tikkun in the place of the kilkel. In the place of the oil, the skin, the ayin, he saw the aleph. And on Rosh Hashanah, we say, our ayin is hanging, it's suspended. Please, Rabbeinu Shalom, change the ayin into an aleph. The Saiti ka'ayin nishtateinu, like Rabbi Akiva saw the shu'al with the ayin, but he already saw the shu'al with the aleph, Shaul ben Aknan, the tikkun, because he saw him after the galus. The Chasam Sofer explains that the galus is always with the ayin. The Chasam Sofer says that Yosef sent agolais to his father, agolais, wagons, from the Mitzrayim. The Chasam Sofer says a wonderful word. Agolais is the atheist ayin galus. The galus always has the ayin in it. Because in the Mitzrayim, the first galus, there was Shivim and Nefesh, 70. In the second galus, it was 70 years in Babel. In today's Dallas Edain, we're scattered in 70 nations, Ayin Umay. The Dallas is always with the Ayin, and we're waiting that this Dallas will change to Aleph. So now we understand why Shol ben Aknan is called Shol Shehishil es Atzmai la'Avayra. He lent himself to an Avayra. Usually when somebody, like the expression goes, he sows to the Satan. A person who does Avayra sells his neshama to the Satan, who becomes the property of the Satan. Who knows what's going to happen to that neshama? Like you have the Minka Leika Mishpachas Ger, he sold to the Avodah Zarah in Parshas Bahar. Shaul ben Aknan didn't sell his neshama, which means that he is no more the master of himself, now he belongs to the Satan. Shaul just lent his neshama. And the time will come when Shaul says, give me back my neshama, I lent it to you, it's still mine. He didn't give over his neshama, it was only temporary, he lent it. We're now in the Chaydish of Shimon. The Chaydish of Shimon went through a lot of madreigas, a lot of changes. Shimon was great, Shimon fell, Shimon will rise. Shlomiel was great, Shlomiel fell, Shlomiel started rising when he became Rabbi Akiva, and then he will come to his complete rise when all those neshamas who are astray, that have a shaykhus with Shimon, Sham Avain, there is sin, all those neshamas will rise. That's going to be when Tisha B'Av will turn into. That's going to be when Tisha B'Av turns into a big Yom Tov. Now we are in the Chaydish of, in a very inconvenient, sorrowful, melancholy Chaydish. But there is a great future to this Chaydish. We are neshamas of the Golos. We are neshamas of Kosmos Oil with the Ayin. There's a great future for us. When this Chaydish comes, we have to realize we can do something to rectify that which has been spoiled by Zimri ben Salu, and bring the Chaydish of, bring the neshamas of the Chaydish of, the neshamas of Rabbi Akiva, Eikef, the neshamas of Pinchos of the Mashiach. Bring those neshamas back to their place where they really belong, to their splendor, not to their fall. Some Sefer used to say that the Chaydish Av consists of two Chadashim. Two Tisha B'Av, it's called Av. After Tisha B'Av, it's called Menachem. Some call it Menachem Av. Some Sefer says Av is one thing, and Menachem is another thing. Anyway, the Chachamim saw there are foxes in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Rabbi Akiva understood that if the fox is in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that's already a nechama. Shu'alim is the Gematria Kodesh Menachem. That's the nechama already. And when the nechama will come to its real to its real top, to its climax, it'll be the Adam Arishain will take off his kosnais oya, his cloak of skin with the iron, and Adam Arishain, that's read it in the Neshama of Mashiach, like the Svarim tell us. The Neshama of Mashiach came down 3 times in this world. Adam is Rosh Hashanah, Adam, David, Mashiach. That's what it says from the Yeriah Kodesh. Anyway, Adam Rishon wore Kosmos oil as a result of eating from the Eitz Hadas. he will take off his Kosmos oil and he will put on his splendorful Kosmos oil with the Aleph. Kosmos oil with the Aleph, Kosmos oil with the Aleph is the Gematria Shlomio Ben Suri Shabbat. Shimon in its splendor. And that's what we are asking for at the end of Eicha. When we finish the keynote, the last keynote is Ahatziyah Sheshamim. That's the end of the keynote. When the pasuk says further, Shu'alim, right, that's ready the Nechamim. Shu'alim is the Gematria Chodesh Menachem. And we have no more keynotes. Now it's only Nechamim. Ad Hashem Eliyadam Teishet. Kisachah V'Dayah. And so on. Hashem Elikecha B'Neshuva. Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. With that, we finish the Sefer Eicha. Kekedem. Rabbeinu Shalom rejuvenate us, renew us Kekedem, like it was before the Chet of Adam Arishan, when Shalomiyah was Shalomiyah, not when he was Zimri. When Adam Arishan wore Kosmos Oya, not with the Aleph, not with the Ayin, but with an Aleph. And that is what the Avodah of the Chodesh of all of us, that was Zoichet to be in Yerushalayim Ner HaKodesh. We should see the tikkun already in that. The Rebbeinu Shalom admitted us into Yerushalayim. My grandfather, your grandfathers, would have given away 10 years of their life to be Zoichet to be in Eretz Yisrael. They weren't admitted, especially in Yerushalayim. Now times are changing. It seems that we are already very close to the Geula. Nobody can tell you when the Geula will be. Alpha Pish Yisma Meya is also part of the Yami Maiman. But according to the Semana of the Gemara and the Midrashim, we're pretty close. So now is the time to put all our energy and all our with intent into Hasmada and Torah, into Kavana and Tefillah, Mesiras Nefesh and Kiyum HaMitzvot and in Zerka, and work hard, strike while the iron is hot. Now is the period when we can desire the Geula, when we can lift the Chodesh up from the ground and put the Chodesh up where it belongs on the top. Chodesh Yameinu Kekedem.
For a share on the topic of the greatness and downfall of Zimri ben Salu, and how it corresponds to Chodesh of, you instruction in Dalet, press 1.
That was an invalid entry.
For a share on the topic of the greatness and downfall of Zimri ben Salu, and how it corresponds to Chodesh of, you instruction in Dalet, press 1.
That was an invalid entry.
For a share on the topic of the greatness and downfall of Zimri ben Salu, and how it corresponds to Chodesh of, you instruction in Dalet, press 1.
That was an invalid entry.
For Parashas Nasai, press 1. Aloitzcha, 2. Shlach, 3. Balak, 4. Pinchos, 5. Parashas Nasai, 6. For Parashas Nasai, press 1. Aloitzcha, 2. Shlach,